morning. Well, let's see. We got, right now, we're on WTQT 106.1 in Baton Rouge, and we are now on TV in Freeport, channel K31.2, that's digital TV. Alexandria, channel K38.2, and we're online at WTQT.org. You can pick up a great stream on that. This morning, it's warm out there. 75 degrees, going up to 90. It's cloudy. Probably going to be, just drizzly, hot, miserable all day. Be a good day to stay in. Maybe just on the back porch barbecuing or something, step in and out. And anyway, we're Baton Rouge Labor Radio, and we are proud to be on WTQT 106.1. And right now, I'm kind of here. Waiting for everybody to come in. WTQT was founded in 1996 by Dr. Ernest L. Johnson, president of the Louisiana NAACP. He's also president of WTQT and its parent organization, the Louisiana Community Development CAP Fund. And CAP Fund continues to help families to lead happier, more prosperous lives. If you're interested in partnering with our stations, opportunities are available. Contact our community coordinator by calling I'm going to give this number, 225-333-8093. That's 225-333-8093. And our program director, Jackie S. Griffin, I'm sure she'll point you in the right direction. Baton Rouge Labor Radio is broadcast Saturdays, 7 to 9 a.m. You can communicate with us on Facebook at Baton Rouge Local Union 198, or you can go to my Facebook, Michael D. Day. I'm a rank and file member, Plumbers and Steam Fitters, Local 198, right here in Baton Rouge, and we are affiliated with the AFL-CIO. We are sponsored in full. The whole 2 hours is sponsored in full by the Louisiana AFL-CIO and the Greater Baton Rouge Building and Trades. So, if you want to call in and just chat, whether you like our show, hate our show, whatever, the number is 225-343-1075, and we've got some guests coming up, but the first thing I guess I could throw out there to talk about would be, there was a story I caught online. It was on a link from totheadvocate.com, and let's see if I got it here. It's really a couple of stories. I'm kind of waiting for Neil to get in. He's probably on the road somewhere. He'll be in shortly. Neil Paul Miller, business manager and secretary-treasurer of Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 198, and one of the hardest working men in the business. So anyway, there is Let's see if I can find this. Here we go. Got the story. Going to bring it up. And Neil, I hope you're listening. Louis Wren, Ernest Stevens. Look, Ernest, if you're up, give me a call, man. We need your voice. Enough loafing around. You got to be well enough to call him. We miss you, buddy. Ernest Stevens, Big E, Special Assistant to the President of the Louisiana AFL-CIO, been with us. You know, Ernest, Neil, Louis, I know you guys are listening. It's been 7 years. We started this show on another station in about 2007, before the presidential election, or right around there, and we had the big issue of Employee Free Choice Act that we were really trying to help get passed, and we didn't even get a tumble, man. We didn't. I mean, it's just mind-boggling to me. But anyway, the story I wanted to go, this is by Rebecca Stokes, and it's news and views from The Stir, Cafe Mom, The Stir. And this was posted September the 4th. And it goes like this. Talk about jaw-dropping. Talk about dropping the mic and leaving the stage. The entire staff of one mall-based Journeys footwear store reached their breaking point when it came to dealing with their boss. When the boss in question finally went to lunch, they decided the time had come to quit as a group. I've got a better solution than that, but I understand where they're coming from. I could offer a better solution. Okay, the story goes on. Were the employees content waiting until the end of the day to share their decision? No way. They marched immediately out and locked the store up behind them, but they weren't content with just leaving in the middle of the workday to prove their point. They wanted everyone to know why exactly they were quitting in the first place. To do that, they wrote a scathing note and left it in full sight of the entire mall. While it's hard to say without actually working there, it sounds like employees Jess, Nikki, and TJ were more than justified in their desire to get the heck out of Dodge. The note includes complaints against their boss, like frequently swearing and treatment so poor that the store couldn't keep a manager for more than a year at a time. And here's the note. The note, which you can go on this website, Cafe Mom, News and Views. The note in full says, and this is pinned to, one of those open bar doors that you just close down at the mall. Dear Jamie, since you decided to say cancer is not an excuse, and cancer is not an excuse in red. The rest of this, and we think it's okay to swear at your employees like you do all the time. We quit in red. This is why you can't keep a store manager longer than a year. You abuse your role and staff. Enjoy the fact that you lost a store manager, co-manager, and key holder in the middle of back to school. Think next time before you treat people the way you do. We aren't allowing it anymore. Signed, Nikki, Jess, and TJ. Obviously, everyone has the occasional bad day at the office. It's normal to have the odd fantasy of storming out dramatically. That'll show them, you think, but you never act on it. As brave as the sign may be, and however much their boss deserve it, walking out on the job only hurts you, among other things. I agree. It could make unemployment a non-option, and it will. If you've got agreements with your boss, you owe it to yourself and your future employees to work through it, even if that means bringing a higher-up to mediate or as a witness. Keep a record. Cover your behind, and you'll come out ahead. All this is good advice. Another good piece of advice, if you're in Louisiana, would be to call the Louisiana AFL-CIO and ask to speak to Julie Cherry, Louis Wren, Ernest Stevens, or anybody up there, and see about forming a union. See about joining a union. I'm sure they could lead you to a way to a retailer's union, maybe the same one that's merged in, that's trying to organize the workers at Walmart. I don't know, but I'm sure that's a fact. As this story stated, it's not a good idea just to walk out and say, I'm done. It's not a good idea. I would say there is a huge chance that you're going to miss trying to get your unemployment benefits, probably get a bad recommendation from your boss on the next job, and there's just multiple things that can happen, Anybody want to call in? We got time. 225-343-1075. Give me a call, somebody. Ernest, if you're listening, we need your voice. So, anyway, we're going to keep going here. If anybody's got anything to say about this news story that I just read, give me a call. 343-1075. That's 225-343-1075 for our listeners in Shreveport and Alexandria. Give us a call. We want to know what's going on over there. So this morning, like I said, it's a little nasty outside. Drive careful. It's kind of sticky. The roads aren't really slippery, but it's kind of sticky. And you know what? We're going to go to a Bruce Springsteen CD right now. That was Bruce Springsteen, and we're Baton Rouge Labor Radio. We're on WTQT 106.1 FM. We're also on these two TV stations, Shreveport channel K31.2 and Alexandria channel K38.2. And if anybody wants to call in from Baton Rouge, Shreveport, or Alexandria, give us a call, 225-343-1075. So it's raining outside. Be careful. Roads are slippery, and we're going to just push on here. Today is Saturday, and Baton Rouge Labor Radio is broadcast Saturdays 7 to 9 a.m. That's every Saturday morning. Trying to bring some news out, working issues, this, that, the other. I'm going to try to bring up a story that, let's see. Okay, we're having a little problem with the computer access here right now. Anyway, the story that the self-proclaimed doctor of the poor, he made the big time on the Daily Show, which that is big time. Neil Paul Miller, business manager, Local 198, is just walking in. Thanks for being late. I appreciate that in every sense of the word. Nothing like that standard of excellence policy we got, huh? I was going to jab you with that. Neil works about 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. For anybody that wants to take that serious, it's a joke. But anyway, we got a caller calling in should be calling in very soon. Your friend and mine, Ed Parker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good.
Anyway, before we get started, there is this is on NOLATP.com, I guess. And you know what? The self-proclaimed doctor of the poor has made the big time.
Oh, yeah.
The Daily Show.
Look right here.
You got it?
I brought it, too.
Go ahead. You take it.
No.
Take it. Read it. I'm tired of reading. I don't know if you heard our other story where those 3 mall employees walked out coming in. I mean, they left a nasty note on the wall there, man. You'd have thought it was Thomas Richard or Jay Richard, they just got tired of being abused, walked out in the middle of the day, locked the door, left a note telling me, hey, you can't keep a manager, you can't keep an assistant manager, you can't keep a key person. We're tired of being abused. Adios. There's better ways to do that than just walking off your job.
Yeah.
You call Louis Wren at the Louisiana AFL-CIO and tell him, hey, we'd like to organize this little shop here.
Some people just don't know no better.
No, but
read the Cassidy thing.
No, you read it. Go ahead.
Well, I get in small print, Mike.
Oh, okay. Well, here it is. Comedy Central's. This is from the NOLA.com.
Right.
Comedy Central's The Daily Show had a little fun at Representative Bill Cassidy's expense on Wednesday night show. Host Jon Stewart was doing a segment on the government shutdown and how his view Republicans are being disingenuous when they say they don't want a government shutdown. He presented a letter signed by 80 House Republicans, including the self-proclaimed doctor of the poor, Bill Cassidy, a Baton Rouge Republican, suggesting that long before the current crisis that the GOP leadership used the spending bill needed to keep the government open to press the GOP's goal of stopping the Affordable Care Act, which is a 3-year-old law. Whether you like it or not, it's the law.
And
I don't like the right to work, but it's the law.
And let's also, before you go on any further with that, it's not only the law, they brought it all the way to the Supreme Court.
Well, and had another election where Mitt Romney made that the key issue, along with a national right to work law.
And so many people are interested in it, it literally the computers were overwhelmed with how many people were logging on.
Look, they had the same problems with Medicare Part D when they first kicked it in.
It wasn't a problem, Mike. It was people. They're
glitches.
Well, it's glitches, but they're getting What I'm saying is, look at how many people are interested in it.
Well, a lot of people that don't have health insurance, and you know what? They're talking about that younger. Now, you know what? Some people will say this defeats the purpose with the, they had polling. If you run a poll and you ask, are you for or against Obamacare? 47% of the people are against Obamacare. 47% in this poll that I forget who done it. Now, if you run the same polling, are you in favor of the Affordable Care Act? Only 37% are against that.
Yeah.
The same people. Okay? So what it is, it's really a lack of knowledge of what you're even talking about. But to go on, they've got it where you can't, pre-existing conditions can't be held against you. And our local's dealing with that. I mean, we're having to deal with that. And it's not a pretty sight.
No,
it's not a pretty sight. Neil will tell you it's hard to deal with, that we've got problems with the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, but you roll your sleeves up and you move
And you
on.
got to work around it. You got to get it going. You got to make it work. It's the law. You got to make it work, Neil. You're on the board of trustees.
Yeah.
And that's your job. You got to find a way to make it work. And I know it's not easy, and I know it's a lot easier for me to say that, not sitting on that board. Okay? I realize that. But here is my point. They have a provision where no one can be turned down for pre-existing conditions. Okay? That means that you can pay the penalty, the $95 penalty the first year. I think the second year it goes to $600 and something. But you can pay that penalty, that $95. I'm 25 years old. It's going to cost me roughly $150 to $175 a month to get health insurance, and I'd rather have DirecTV or a cell phone. I'd rather put that money toward that, because that's about, cell phone plans are at least $120, $140 a month, a lot of them.
Right.
Okay? So, I mean, you're comparing almost a cell phone bill to health insurance. Okay? Now, to guys our age, it only makes sense to get the health insurance, To a guy 21, 25, I don't know.
Well, Mike, let me tell you this.
But my point being, let me finish my point. My point being is, with this provision of you can't be turned down for pre-existing conditions, I would ask them to look at this provision. And if a person decides to turn down that health insurance for whatever price and pay the penalty, that for that year they are excluded from buying health insurance for whatever reason. Okay? You had your choice. Okay? You refused. You didn't want to buy it. You took the cheaper penalty.
That's the glitches you're talking about, working out.
Right.
Yeah.
That is a glitch that I could see if a person made the choice, I'm going to pay the penalty, I'm not going to take the health insurance, that, hey, you know what? God forbid you come down with something, but you know what? It's going to be up to the insurance company to take you.
Well,
then.
this is something else, Mike. Our illustrious governor has, shut down all of the charity hospitals and stuff and privatized and all that. But yet he didn't want to get into the exchange rate. What's the difference? Because they're saying, okay, you have to buy insurance.
Neil, I went to Blue Cross Blue Shield. They were advertising on totheadvocate.com for a family of 3 that makes $70,000 a year. $70,000 a year. You're talking $534 a month for a family of 3. That's the bronze plan. Okay, they're saying a single guy $175 a month. Okay, but look, let's get back to this story.
Yeah, please, because it's
pretty good.
The
shows John Oliver chose to make an example of Cassidy, whose 6th district, he noted, was redrawn to make it more heavily white, leaving him likely, like so many Republicans leading the effort to defund or delay Obamacare, virtually untouchable by Democratic, Independent, or anybody else. Republicans like Cassidy said don't have to worry about voter anger over the government shutdown because they represent safe GOP districts. This is true, Neil. This is very true. We brought this up yesterday.
It all started in Texas.
Well, it's redistricting, 2010. Yeah. They always do it. Democrats do the same thing. Don't be surprised.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Oliver said Cassidy could poison a basket of kittens in front of another basket of kittens just to make them watch. He can do anything as long as Obama didn't help him do it. He'd be fine, Oliver said. Cassidy, a physician and the self-proclaimed doctor of the poor, isn't running for re-election, but he's challenging Democratic Senator Mary Landrieu in the 2014 Louisiana Senate race. Okay? NOLA.com/TimesPicayune will let you know what Cassidy has to say about the kittens in the Daily Show segment as soon as we hear from him. Wait on him. Don't hold your breath.
Well, and this, I printed this from the Advocate. This was in the Advocate.
So it made the Advocate also.
Yes.
Now, their point being is that there's 80 seats that are untouchable. Okay? There are 80 seats that you're not going to win. It doesn't matter what they do. Okay? If you got a D by your name, that's the 5th district. That's the 5th district with Reiser running, Jindal's guy. And I mean, I hate to say it here, but I am the devil's advocate, and some people say the devil of this show. But you know, you got to look facts in the face. You got to look reality in the face. Okay, we can get out the vote. We can hope. Now, with that said, we've done well in special elections. We've done well.
Well, in this same district right there, we won the first time with Cassidy. I mean, not with Cassidy, with Cashew. Different
district altogether. They've redistricted this whole district.
Cynthia,
it was 60% white. Now it's 80% white and rich. Okay? They cut it out. They showed the way the thing is cut out, that, you know, they just cut it out. The Country Club of Louisiana, you know, the North Baton Rouge votes for Cedric Richmond.
Yeah.
They cut it out where it's just, you know, they did the same thing when Cleo Fields ran. They cut out a special district for him to win, and it was brought to courts, and it was deemed unacceptable. Why the Democrats didn't do it this time, I don't know.
Well, you know, when Cashew lost the second time, he won the first time and lost the second time. We had a politician that jumped in the race, knowing he couldn't win, was paid. You know,
we don't allegedly.
Yeah. Well, with campaign finance funds, I mean.
Well, you know, that's legal, and they do it on both sides. Yeah. They do it on both sides. I can guarantee you that if a Democrat thought they could do that in a Republican race, they would do it. I mean, to be fair, it's legal. What he did was legal. Okay? You know, but the self-proclaimed doctor of the poor was also earlier this week, and I don't know if I can find that story or not, but it was in the Advocate, and
what was it about?
Well, it was about that when he was in the legislature, like Romneycare, Massachusetts.
Yeah. He wanted a state-run or state-run. Yeah,
like
state-run,
Romneycare.
Yeah, like Romneycare,
which is covering 95% of all citizens in Massachusetts.
That was in. If you want to pull that up, that was in yesterday's paper.
Yeah.
And it was.
I got to go back to the Wi-Fi thing here.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, it was. I read that yesterday, and it was. He bounces all over the place when it comes. Whatever's
he's a politician.
Political jockeying.
He's a politician, the doctor of the poor.
And I started to cut this out the other day. They were interviewing one of the House Republicans, and he was one of the Tea Party people, and somebody asked him, well, what's the purpose of this? Well, we got to get something out of this. And he said, what are you going to get out of this? I don't know, but we got to get something. Yeah, they don't even have a clue what they want.
Neil, let me ask you a series of questions.
All right.
Can I burn your house down?
Absolutely not.
Can I burn your garage down?
No. Negative.
Can I burn your goat yard out? Can I torch your goats? Your goat yard?
No.
Oh, Karen gave away the goat.
The goat's gone, but you can't.
I can't torch that.
No.
What part of your house or your goat yard can I burn down?
None.
You know what? You're unreasonable and you don't want to negotiate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You hit the nail on. Yeah, you're right. You're
unreasonable and you don't want to negotiate.
That is their mentality. They have. I think at one time, and I'm talking about one time a few days ago, a week ago, that you had some. Being the House leader too, you had a chance of getting it through, but nobody wanted to step on the toes of the Tea Party. And that's a shame that we have a few people. And when I tell you, Mike, they are out there in the right field big time. These people are just. If you don't pay taxes, how are you going to ride on the roads? If you don't pay taxes, when you hit 911, who's going to come to your house? If your house catches on fire, who's going to come put it out? I mean, the government agencies, there's so many things. There's Social Security, all this different stuff that the taxes pay for. They don't want to pay no taxes, none, zero, nada. And the military, how is that funded? Is it funded by private funds? No, that's part of your tax dollars. And some of these Tea Party people are just unbelievable when it comes, like the tax busters that started years ago. We had the great Woody Jenkins that was the mastermind of that,
who lost his own parish when he ran against Cashew.
Yeah, but and I mean it's I don't know when is enough. Okay, you made your stand. You voted 43 times to repeal the Affordable Health Care Act. Like I said, you made your stand 43 times. Now you've held the country hostage with all the government programs,
except the ones that they get bad press on and they want to change. They're trying to fund FEMA. They're trying to fund you had 85-year-old veterans wanting to go to the World War II memorial, and they get out there.
Did you see that guy? That guy on TV getting onto the park ranger.
Oh yeah,
getting onto the park ranger, and he's one of the ones that's shutting the government down.
Well, there's a lot of these guys
asking why you have this park shut down and the park ranger. I mean, you're the one that did it.
You can't figure it out. But anyway, I can't find the story right now. But it was, it was.
Do you have a caller?
Do we? Hello, do we have a call? Hello? I didn't hear it ring. We were supposed to have a caller. Ed Parker is supposed to call in today. But I guess I'm still having a problem with this whole deal, man.
Yeah, and you know, one last thing, and I know we've been beating this horse in the ground, but you know, the Republicans blame Obama. They say they should recognize the flaws of Obamacare and negotiate solutions.
There are flaws in there, but they haven't done anything to help the flaws.
But Mike, the Obama administration and the Democrats have said, okay, we will negotiate, but first we need to get the government back on track.
Well, and you're talking for 6 weeks, man.
You can't hold a gun up to somebody's head and expect them to say, okay, I'm going to do whatever you want to make this thing happen. And you know, that's just not the right thing to do. I mean, you know, like I said, if you look at what's going on with the federal government with the shutdown, they need to start, you know, fixing all this. I mean, you've got things that are fixing to happen with this that people are already feeling the effects of it. You know, we've got people that can't afford to, you know, for the milk and all WIC. And they're scrambling with that right now, trying to figure out. And the only reason, I mean, the Democrats have been trying to figure out how they can do that. Now the Republicans are starting to get repercussions from this, so now they're kind of bending a little bit, trying to figure out how they're going to do with that. You got the storm brewing out there in the Gulf coming this way. I got on the. Have you got on the National Weather Service?
Oh yeah.
Huh? And it says that due to the government shutdowns, that they'll update it every so often, not live like they used to.
You know, no one asked Neil Reiser, the guy that's running the Jindal favorite, and you know, no one's talked to him about whether he would support a government shutdown. And it's very close to an election. It's very close to an election.
You want me to tell you his answer?
Well, I mean, did he answer it? Was the question posed to him?
But I can tell you his answer before you even ask him.
You know, I don't know his answer.
Well, let me ask you this, Mike. And let's change subjects a little bit. The lawsuit that these appointees brought against big oil companies for tearing up the marshes and all that. The board that oversees that is, correct me on this, Mike, is it the levy board? Who does all that?
Sure.
I'm not sure either. But did you see that where he's not going to reappoint the people that, because he disagrees with it big time, so he's not going to reappoint these people?
Oh, yeah.
There goes another case. Yeah, another case of the Jindal administration on, you know, I don't know. Like I said, how he got elected the second time, I'll never understand it. But
he didn't have anybody running against him.
He didn't have nobody running against him. You're right.
You know, the woman did the best she could.
Oh, Tara Hollis did I think she did a great job running against him for no name recognition, and the voter turnout wasn't that good, but I think she did really good. For somebody that hadn't even been in the political limelight, she still got 18% of the vote, which wasn't that bad. You know.
Okay, here it is. I think this is it. This is by James Gill with theadvocate.com. The election is more than a year ago, but the party is already working feverishly to win Mary Landrieu a fourth term in the U.S. Senate, and that's just the GOP. Wait until the Democrats get cracking. Republicans, as they do every 6 years, pronounce Landrieu vulnerable and an anomaly in a red state. The other routine is to run a flawed candidate against her. Secretly, they must love her. They're out to keep her safe this time by rallying behind U.S. Representative Bill Cassidy, who will be portrayed throughout the campaign oh man, where I lost it. All she has to do, Cassidy won't find it easy from now on to attack Landrieu for her Obamacare vote, because a devastating comeback is available to her. All she has to do is start reading from a bill he authored when he was a state senator in 2007. Yeah. It called for the implementation of a variety or combination of experience-based entitlements, subsidies, and health insurance innovations, public, private, or both, designed to provide health insurance coverage to each citizen of the state. The words are music to Democratic ears. Here is Cassidy advocating measures that were incorporated in President Barack Obama's Affordable Care Act, denounced by all true Republicans as a socialist plot. Yet Cassidy now hopes to win the Senate seat by joining the Republican herd screaming for repeal. Cassidy's proposal amounted to Obamacare light and did not include an individual mandate for buying health insurance, which would indeed have been tied up in courts for years anyway. But the compulsory elements of the Obamacare were what stuck in the Republican craw, and Cassidy will no doubt be stressing the difference between his voluntary system and the one the government has now. That will make for an stimulating ideological debate, but it may get lost in the hurly-burly of the campaign that Cassidy shared Obama's enthusiasm for a government role in universal health care that matter more than differing notions of how to achieve it. That's James Gill. That's not the whole story, but you can go to theadvocate.com, and this story was ran October 3rd, 2013. James Gill at theadvocate.com.
Well, you know, Mike, even with Boustany, am I pronouncing his name right? He said that the Republicans are running all over the map with this. That they can't decide what they want to do with this. You know, and that I think he was one. Wasn't he the only Republican? Well, I know from the South here, Texas and Louisiana and stuff, to vote not to do the shutdown. But I don't know how he's sided since then. You know, it's. But yeah, he made the quote. Let me see if I can find that on one of these papers. But that's what he said. He said, yeah, it's right here. Boustany says his GOP colleagues are running all over the map with these issues.
Well,
and Mike, it's the you know what? Again, the old cliche, the squeaky wheel gets all. Isn't that true?
I think they've really, those 80 seats might be safe, but at this point, I would not doubt if the Democrats picked up more seats in the Senate, because these are statewide seats they run for. And people have had enough of this government shutdown. The WIC program. Look, there's a list. There was a list of 17 agencies the Republicans were trying to open back up this week.
The National Guard, the national parks.
You know, Neil, we'll come back to that with the second hour of Baton Rouge Labor Radio. But right now, let's take a little break, and we're gonna come back with the second hour very shortly. And we'll just go to a little music for a couple of songs right now, and we'll come back. Bruce Springsteen.
Got a caller, Mike.
Bruce Springsteen, and this is Baton Rouge Labor Radio, WTQT 106.1 FM. We're also in Freeport on channel K31.2. That's on TV, Neil.
Yep.
They want to see your bald head. Alexandria, channel K38.2. We're also online at WTQT.org, and I hope they can't see us. I pray.
Mike,
you know, they play a lot of religious music on this station.
I know. You got a caller, don't you?
Well, yeah, we got a caller, and he can wait just like I did. But, no. We got Herman Adams. He's the business manager of the Ironworkers Local.
Ironworkers
6.
No, it's 10.
They changed the number?
What's your local number, Herman?
623. Well,
623.
do you hold office, Neil?
I was going to say 1098.
I mean, don't you go to the building trade, see this man once a week?
1098 is the Carpenters.
Yeah, 1098 is the Carpenters. T-Boy Ardoin, it's out in God's country and don't even have phone reception. I mean, come on, man. Move to the city, Jethro. Well, we welcome Herman Adams, business manager of Local 623, the Ironworkers. Good morning, Herman.
Good morning.
My old school chum.
How you doing, Herman? How you doing, Herman?
I'm doing. How y'all doing?
We're trying to make it, Herman. We're trying to make it. What's on your mind this morning, Herman?
Right now?
He said, "What's on your mind, Herman? What you think about the work coming up and what's going on here in the not just the Baton Rouge area, but Herman also. I don't know if you know this, Mike. The Ironworkers moved up to Lake Charles in that area also.
Oh, really?
Herman took that part over
too.
Well,
good. Congratulations to you and your local, Herman.
What you think? Picking up and. A lot of work's supposed to be coming. We've opened up a sub-office in Lake Charles to get ready to prepare for the work that's coming over there. We're hearing that this time next year we're going to have probably 1,000 welders all together, so we're trying to get prepared for the work that's coming.
Well,
so are you organizing welders now, Herman, or what?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Are you trying to organize welders?
Yes.
You want to give me information on that?
Well, we went out to the schools, that teach welding, to the Votex and stuff, talking to the men that have been welding already. We run an ad in the Lake Charles and the Baton Rouge paper for welders and for the young men coming out of school that want to become welders.
Well, Herman, if you have some listeners that are listening in right now, and they were interested in getting into your program, not just your apprenticeship program, but experienced welders, you got some information to give to them so they could contact you?
Yes, I got I have my phone number is 225-24. No, I'm sorry, that's my number is 225-357-3262.
Give it again, Herman. Give it again.
225-357-3262.
And the address of your union hall?
6153 Airline Highway in Baton Rouge. I have an email.
That's across from the Burger King, right, Herman, on Airline? Close.
Yeah,
Close to.
Straight across the street from the Burger King.
There you go. What's your email, Herman?
My email address is ha.623iw@gmail.com. They can send a resume to that email address.
Resume or maybe an application for apprenticeship or anything like that, or no?
That's right. If they send their name and phone number, I'll email them an application. Either apprenticeship. We also have a probationary system where a guy who has some experience can get slotted in. We'll bring him in and check him out, and if he can already weld and all, we'll credit him some time where he don't have to spend as much time in the school. You know, we set up for people with experience, little experience, and none. We have ways for them all to get started and move into the local and get them a career.
Herman, do you have immediate employment for people like that, or would it be a little lag until the work really goes, or how does that work?
Well, we have some work. We holding up. You know, we have all of our members are working at this time, so there are some openings, but some of them would be kind of prepared for the surge of work that's coming over the next few years.
Well, not only that, Herman, I think what you would also be doing is if they were lacking a little skills, you'd be plugging them in to get some further training and stuff also, wouldn't you?
Right. That's what I'm saying. We take their apps and some that have a little experience, we'll pick their training up from that point. Some that, you know, if they a 10-year guy that's been working 10 years, you know, we'll move him on ahead. Or a guy that has no skills at this time, we'll start him from the beginning and run him through the whole program.
Well, Herman, you been following this government shutdown?
A little bit. I've been watching it. Yes.
It's you know, we've been talking about the doctor of the poor. You know,
the self-proclaimed doctor of the poor,
Bill Cassidy, and his deal with all this. And you know, I don't know if you knew that back in 2007, Cassidy proposed Louisiana create a statewide health insurance exchange during his Senate campaign. During his campaign for the state Senate, he proposed that Louisiana create a statewide health insurance exchange to lower insurance premium. In other words, he had the same thing as Romney Care, wanting to do it, and now all of a sudden he's against it. And he's the one that's going to be running against Mary Landrieu. And I know you have the same feelings as I do. You know, Mary is, I'm not going to say I agree with the way Mary votes 100% of the time or even 80% of the time, but at least you feel with your heart and soul that Mary does care about the workers, the men and women, working men and women of Louisiana, and not like Cassidy that's doing everything for showmanship.
Yes, we're definitely going to be behind Miss Mary Landrieu.
Yeah.
I've had 3 of my people either called in or went online to check out that insurance program that they offer, and for the money they had a $14,000 deductible. It was for the money they wanted that program. They wasn't getting really anything at all.
You talking about
other than to say they would have insurance coverage at some point.
Well, you know, Mike got on there the other day, and for a, you know, you've got the silver, the bronze, and
yeah, there's different levels of coverage on that, Herman.
Right.
I mean, right now I've talked to insurance experts, and they really, right now it's a question what's in it at all. Now, I don't know. I went on the, did they go on the Blue Cross Blue Shield site, Herman?
I think that's the one, yes, sir.
Okay. There's going to be several other options, and there's, I I mean, the one option, I saw two options. I brought up two options on the Blue Cross Blue Shield thing. One was for a single person making $11,500 a year. If you make any less than that, that's right at the Louisiana poverty level. $11,500 a year, a single person could get insured for, I think it was $16.83 a month. Now, they did not have what was included with that insurance, but I do know that all your screenings and all your preventative health is free. Okay? Now, in other words, if you're going in for the old Roto-Rooter, what is that?
Colonoscopy.
Colonoscopy. Oh, I love that day. If you're going in for that, that's free. If you're going in for a breast exam, which, not us, Herman, but if someone goes in for a breast exam, but a lot of that's free, I mean, from what I was reading, and I also punched in a family of three at $70,000. And a family of three at $70,000. Now, this is with subsidies from the government. And you know what? It would have been much better. Herman, right now, and I'm sure you know this, that when Bobby Jindal turned down the Medicare expansion money to expand Medicaid, that the only people that are available, that are
going to be
eligible for that money in the state of Louisiana or any other state where the governor turned the money down are legal aliens, legal residents from other countries of,
in other words, somebody that's got a green card.
Someone that's got a permanent green card are eligible, whereas someone that went to a Struma High like me or you and was born here,
you're not eligible.
We're not eligible. Now,
right.
does that make sense?
No, it doesn't, because we pay the bill on that.
Well, everybody's paying the bill on that.
That's what I'm saying. Now,
but, it's not right.
Say that.
The Arizona governor, Jan Brewer, that hates Barack Obama with a passion, found that fact out and jumped on board to take the Medicaid expansion money because she wasn't going to have citizens that were born there not be eligible and have legal people from other countries that have immigrated here, which our country was built on immigration, any way you look at it.
Yeah.
But, I just think that's wrong-sided, and, I don't know. This is coming out, a lot of this is still being mustered out, and when they passed Medicare Part D under George W. Bush, which was unfunded, you hear about President Barack Obama been spending more money than any president in history and this and that and the other. You know what? Take out the money of the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, and Medicare Part D, which all three were unfunded, and he had no part in. He was a state legislature in Illinois at that time. If you take all that money out, then add it up, I think you're having a fair assessment of what he spent. They want to blame the GM bailout. Well, you know what? George Bush passed that first. George Bush signed that first. In 2007, 2008, when the economy was crashing, John McCain suspended his campaign to go back to the Senate because the economy we were getting ready to lose everything we had. And the only thing I'm saying about the Affordable Care Act, I know that that all our unions are having a problem with that right now. But you know what? It's not mustered out. Just like Part D, You go up to someone that's got Medicare Part D right now and tell them you want to end that program, they're going to beat you over the head with their cane, man.
Mm-hmm.
They love it. They love it. Okay? It's a very popular program.
Well, you know, this is something else that the General Administration is, you know, the Head Start program with the children. I mean, he turned the federal money down for, you know, didn't want to go for that.
Well, with the government shutdown, there are kids being knocked off Head Start right now.
But hold on, before that, he doesn't want to get involved with that. You know, he's turned money down before the government shutdown. He let it be known through his little crony that took over the state education system that they're not gonna apply for, you know, for the money that's coming up. You know, Herman, you've been in the local for a few years now, and that might be another caller there, Mike.
Well, yeah, but we can only take one at a time here, you know.
But let me finish up with Herman. Herman, for the years of service that you've had here, how do you see from when you got in to now? I know we had the bad stigma labeled on organized labor. Do you see that changing, Herman?
I see it changing real slow, yes. That, you know, we all work together now. Neil, you know that. And we're winning some trust back from the contractors again. I see it. We slowly changing the image from the the late 50s and through the mid 60s. The image that become of us, you know, and they learn that we want to go out there and get the job done with the best qualified people available, without any problems, working together for the companies and for the workers.
Well, Herman, we're speaking with Herman Adams. He's business manager of Local 623, the Ironworkers Local, right here in Baton Rouge.
Oh, it's not 1098?
No, it's not. Moron. But anyway, Herman Adams. Herman, give us your number if anyone's listening and they want to join the Ironworkers Local, or, you know, come in as a qualified welder that you need.
Oh, he's also, Herman, you're also taking, you know, tradesmen too, or, you know, aren't you?
Say that again now?
You're also taking tradesmen. It's not just welders, Mike. He's taking
No,
out.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, he's taking these. He's organizing workers and taking in.
Pushing welders. Any iron worker. Yeah, we need just you know, iron workers too.
Right.
And that number is 225-357-3262.
Oh,
and
give your email, Herman.
And the email is ha.623iw@gmail.com, and that's all lowercase letters.
Okay. And if they just want to drop in at your hall, what's the address?
6153 Airline Highway.
6153 Airline Highway. Herman, we appreciate you joining us this morning. I think we got Ed Parker maybe calling in. You know, hey, look, anytime you want to call in, Herman, I mean, we've been begging the building trades to participate in this. This show is...
Herman's the first building trades
right.
to call in.
Well, and we had Danny... Danny,
your predecessor.
Danny didn't care. Danny would just pile in the office. He was on, man. You know, he's coming.
We'll be calling in more often.
Okay, we appreciate you calling in. Hey, Herman, my old schoolmate, have a good weekend, my brother.
Y'all too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Herman.
Start the conversation.
Bye-bye. Okay, Neil, that was an enlightening conversation with Herman Adams, business manager of Local 623. And you know what, Neil? We're going to re-jumpstart the show. We're Baton Rouge Labor Radio. We're on WTQT 106.1 FM.
And Mike,
LP FM.
Got a text. That was your buddy. I think he's fixing to call in.
Ed Parker.
Yeah.
We're waiting on Ed Parker to call in. Ed, if you're listening, We're on Shreveport channel. We're on in Shreveport on TV. Channel.
I still can't understand
31.
You're on TV?
They're broadcasting the show through digital TV. I don't know when Dr. Ernest Johnson's going to get a webcam in here, but I see that coming. You're going to have to powder that noggin of yours so you don't blind everybody. But Alexandria channel K38.2 is, and you're in communication with Ed there?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I think he's fixing to call back in.
So, Ed, if you're listening, call back in. We must have had a miscommunication. There's Ed. We're going to Ed. Good morning. Is this Ed Parker?
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Louis. How are you?
Louis Wren, president of the Louisiana AFL-CIO. Another reason they don't want to put a webcam in here to broadcast on those two stations in Shreveport and Alexandria. Just another good reason. Take my word on that. He has a perfect face for radio.
Coming from you, Mike, that's a compliment.
Well, I mean, we're all beauty. We're all muscle guys.
Louis, you know where this started from? He keeps talking about the TV. We're on TV, and I said I just can't understand how they're showing us over there.
Hopefully not.
Louis, if you would, I mean, we were going to have Ed Parker. I don't know what happened this morning. We must have had a miscommunication.
He tried to call when Herman was on.
I thought I told him 7:30. I must have told him 8:30. I don't know. My mistake, Ed, if you're listening. But could you go into, and I know you were rounding up votes in the legislature and everything about the time, the state legislature, about the time the self-proclaimed doctor of the poor, Bill Cassidy, had his little Romney Obamacare light package he was trying to push through the state legislature?
Well,
that was in 2007.
But first of all, let me tell you, listeners, good morning. I hope that they all remain safe and that this storm out in the Gulf is not a threat to them. Neil, you understand better than anybody the effects of one of these storms and the misery that they can cause people, so I hope everyone is safe. I do want to touch, before we get onto that, to my frustration with what's going on in Washington. You know, if you look carefully and dissect it, you've got about 15 or 16 people who are holding the American people hostage like a bunch of crybabies. You know, the Affordable Care Act started on the 1st. It's the law. It was passed by Congress, the majority of both houses. That's how it works. That law was upheld by the Supreme Court as being constitutional. And these people have no concern for 800,000 families who all of a sudden don't have a paycheck. Because not the majority of Congress, but 15, 16, 20 people want to hold up everything. And it concerns me that, you know, they're going to talk about we might pay you later. Well, I can't buy a loaf of bread on you going to pay me later. And that's before we consider another million people that this may affect and their paycheck, ability to put a roof over their family's head and food on the table. And if it goes on very long, in the private sector, people that are going to start getting pink slips and layoff slips, you know, I just can't fathom what these people are thinking, that we're trying to come out of a slowdown. People are finally getting back to work, and they're going to pull this kind of stunt. Where is their concern for working men and women? I mean, I've been frustrated that the conversation up there about food stamps. 1 in 7 families in the United States is eligible for food stamps. Stop and think about that. Next 10 people you meet on the street, 7 of them are more than likely not participating in the American dream. And instead of Congress going, wait a minute, why are we not providing opportunities for working families in this country? I got a solution. Let's just not feed our children. Come on, man. These people need to wake up. We send them up there. Look, forget about your party. Forget about that. It's time you concern yourself with, the American citizens, that we need to promote opportunity. We need training programs that have people ready for that opportunity. Hopefully around here we're going to see a lot of work coming, but Washington just doesn't get it, and that's kind of frustrating. Now, on to your question about Representative Cassidy. I've had some discussions with him. I think you've had them as well, Mike, around health care and how do people provide for their family that when their children are sick or their spouse is sick. But the conversation I had with Representative Cassidy was we should do health savings accounts. I kind of think he's out of touch with reality. His idea that, and I think, Mike, you went to the bank and tried to get one, didn't you? And they really don't exist. But the idea that someone wants to go to Washington and represent us, the people of the state of Louisiana or his district, and his answer to health care is that they should take $1,000 a month and put it into a savings account or risk the period of time until they accumulate some money. And most people are trying to figure out how to pay their house note, pay their car insurance, put food on the table, and he thinks that they have, each family in his district has $1,000 a month disposable income. Tells me he's not really in touch with the average person within his district. So I guess that's the point you were trying to get to, Mike.
That's what he was doing. Lewis, let me read you this real quick. In 2007, Cassidy proposed Louisiana create a statewide health insurance exchange during state Senate campaign. During his campaign for the state Senate, Cassidy proposed that Louisiana create a statewide health insurance exchange to lower insurance premiums, decrease administration costs, and allow flexibility in which benefit workers they choose. The same thing as affordable health care. And then it shows that Cassidy signed a letter asking the GOP, and this is what you were talking about earlier, about you got a few that are holding the government hostage. Cassidy signed a letter asking GOP leaders not to support any spending unless the Affordable Health Care Act is defunded. Unless the Affordable Health Care Act care law is defunded, they're not going to do it. The letter that he signed out of the 233 Republicans, 80 of them signed it.
Well, I guess we would have to ask Representative Cassidy, but
the doctor of the poor.
Well, he's in an unusual position. He has seen firsthand at doing, and look, I commend him for his work, being the doctor of the poor, working that in a system where I think have gotten in a private practice. Those were noble things.
Did he get a check from the charity hospital, Lewis?
The medical effects on a family that hasn't had the opportunity other people have, and whatever their challenges in life are, that they don't have the resources to have the health care. Somebody who's never been there, they might have a difficult time understanding. But Dr. Cassidy has seen it firsthand. And I would be interested to see that he knows, in his work at Charity Hospital, he's seen people that the idea of putting $1,000 a month into a health savings account is beyond their wildest dreams. It's not even a thought of reality. What does he propose that we do with those people? Do we just tell them their children are not important?
Lewis.
That they shouldn't get health care?
Lewis, if I may interrupt, I think what he's talking about is, well, besides, that healthcare savings accounts is the catch-all, and selling insurance across state lines is the only thing I've seen him bring up. But I think what he's talking about is that when a child is born today, that the first year they need to put $1,000 from Medicaid into a savings account for this child, a medical savings account. And every year, therefore, until the person's able to put the money in the account themselves. That's what I think they're talking about. And then you've got control over the money you spend.
Okay.
But I don't see that. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a politico. I don't see how that's workable if you're taking money out of Medicaid to put in a savings account for an individual, for a bunch of individuals, and then they have a health problem when they're 6 months old or something like that. You know, I don't see how that's the answer. I mean, I'm in full agreement with you. But, you know, the only answer that I've seen as a reader of, you know, news is health savings accounts and selling insurance across state lines is their current answer and has been their answer to repeal Obamacare and install this as a replacement. Am I wrong?
Well, I think what most people meet, and this is a challenge we're going to have in the state of Louisiana when the governor turned down $900 million and convinced the legislature we shouldn't take it to provide. And the funny part of that is for working people. I mean, the gap between current Medicare and those allowed to go in the exchange and that group of people and where they fit on the economic scale, that's working men and women. You may be talking about a mother with 2 children who works 2 jobs because she can't get a full-time job, working 60 hours a week, and that's who we were going to help get health care for themselves and their children. And let's be real. Had it been a white Republican, the state probably would have run to cash the check. But because it was a Democrat in office, and they would rather fight over it than provide for their own citizens. Look, we saw Arizona, we saw Florida, we saw other states at the end of the day said, look, well, we can't just throw our citizens away.
Yeah, Jan Brewer, that despises Obama, took the money.
You know, look, you know, the Christian right wants to be the Christian right. They need to start having a Christian attitude, which says that we ought to care about each other and we ought to, you know, be there for each other. Look, I would love for us to be working more towards providing the opportunity for people who go to work to have a full-time job, to have health care, to be part of the American dream and have a pay scale that's worthy of the labor that they produce. But we're not there. And in the meantime, I just can't see that, you know, based on your income, you love your children and you have less concern for their well-being when it comes to health care. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, Congress ought to vote. That's what they get sent there for. And pull up the bill and let the majority rule because that's the way democracy works. It's not the majority in Congress who are doing this, who have shut down the government, taking these people's paychecks away. And like I said, you know, if it goes on, it's going to come into the private sector. And here we talk about putting millions of people out of work. Not because the economy's faltering, because some people want to play games, and they're not even the majority. You know, they've been hollering for the Speaker of the House. Look, if the majority wants to do this, put it up to a vote and let the majority vote. But he won't even let them vote on the bill because he's got a small group of people, and to me, they're holding the American public hostage over funding something that Congress has already passed. If you don't like it, file a bill to repeal it. That's the way it works in the legislature and in Congress. You know, we elect people that go, the majority votes. We've got 3 branches of government. I guess these folks need a history lesson.
Well, it wasn't. It's not. The bill was passed, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that, you know, it is what it is, and, you know, let's move forward.
But somebody made a comment to me the other day about the president's health care. Did the president propose it? Yes. But people need to stop thinking. The president of the United States did not institute this health care law. The Congress of the United States did. There's 435 representatives. There's 100 senators. The majority of them in each house voted to make this the law. And the president signed it. It wasn't just a dictate that President Obama said this is what's going to happen. It went through the process. It was debated. Look, we had meetings in Louisiana for our representatives coming home from the public. And representing the people of the United States, the majority of them voted that this should be the law.
Well, Lewis, let me interrupt you because Medicare Part D under the George W. Bush administration passed, and it wasn't funded. Did they vote 43 times to repeal that?
No. But, you know, I would agree that the health care law is not perfect. It needs some tweaks. As in most federal legislation that gets passed, from time to time it needs to be looked at and refined. That is the conversation they ought to be having. And you know, if there's something that's in there that's wrong and they can convince the majority of the people and deal with the executive branch and try and make it a workable instrument, I'm all for that. That's the process. But for a few group of people to act like spoiled children who, if they don't get their way, they go throw a temper tantrum in aisle 9, just does not make sense.
Now, Lewis, you know, the point being, there's been one Republican in the country that has supported the Affordable Care Act. Okay? Now, polling that I saw online, 47% of the people are against Obamacare. 37% of the people in the same poll are against the Affordable Care Act, which is one and the same.
Well, but
it's according to how you put it.
If you break it down and you ask people about
the provisions
that it provides, do you believe children should stay on their parents' policy till they're 26 years old? You get overwhelming support for that. Do you think that people should be able to go to the hospital and get free health care and put it on the taxpayers and the people have insurance? The overwhelming majority think that's a good idea, that doesn't happen. Almost every provision provided, the polls will show that there are for those, that the insurance company can't drop you when you get sick. It can't be prevented from getting insurance because you have a pre-existing illness. There's been a well-funded campaign to try and convince people you need to be against the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare. But when you ask them about the provisions, every poll overwhelmingly shows that they support what the bill actually does. It's just this creation of it's a bad thing that
if you took all the money
the American public.
If you took all the money that the right wing has literally spent on campaigning against the Affordable Health Care Act, that would fund it right there.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much money they are spending and it's a political jockeying for the upcoming presidential election.
Lewis,
and I think what frustrates most people is this idea that when people get to Washington, they try and do things to promote the election of a president of a certain party or the majority of a certain party, and really when they get to Washington, they ought to govern whatever best for the people of this country, and then when it's election time, go run again. But this idea of running the whole time you're there to promote that the Democrats or the Republicans have a majority, so that the president's of one party or another, once you get elected, you ought to go up there and do what's right for the American people.
Now,
then whatever party you choose to be in when you run for re-election, fine. Come home and talk about what you did or you didn't do. And if that's what the people of your district think is the appropriate thing to do, they'll re-elect you. If they don't, then you'll have a candidate who runs against you and you won't. But we ought to not govern for parties. We ought to govern for people.
Now, Lewis, this government shutdown that we've been discussing in the Affordable Care Act, in my view, in my humble opinion and view, is that, I mean, it's like the story we read from the Daily Show that involved the self-proclaimed doctor of the poor, Bill Cassidy, and you know well that his seat was cut out, went from 60% white to about 80%, I think, or something like that, rich white, well, upper income, not maybe rich, but anyway, 80 of these seats were cut out that way in 2010. They're untouchable, but the thing they haven't realized is that they've shut the federal government down, and people, all polling has the Republicans more responsible than the Democrats on this. Bill Cassidy...
Mike, one of the reasons is that there has been some government shutdowns in the past, and they were over the budget, and they were a conversation about spending and whether the spending amount was appropriate. But what's historical about this is the first time they ever shut down the government.
They're trying to repeal a law.
Into the budget.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, as far as the self-proclaimed doctor of the poor, Bill Cassidy, he's not running for that ironclad seat. He's running for, he's got to run in the whole state of Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Fort Polk. You've got, I'm sure you're more familiar with the government funded installations and contracts in the state of Louisiana than I am, but I would say with the federal government shut down, there's a lot of people that's on furlough or out of work right now in our state.
Well, and not only is it about, you know, and my great concern for people who just all of a sudden they have no paycheck, and, you know, we came from construction, all three of us. We kind of understand the idea of you work 1 week and it rains for 3 days and you don't go to work. But people who base their livelihood and their style of life on a 40-hour-a-week paycheck, this is scary and panic. But look at the broader, you know, who's watching the borders? Who's checking passports? Who's advising on the world scene? Because all those people went home. You know, what's this going to do to Wall Street and the economy and our whole financial institutions? And what's our currency going to look like versus China and the euro and the other things as these other countries look at us and go, they did what? You know, if this thing doesn't get settled and we move to the 17th, and then we can't pay our bills because then we'll raise the spending cap, which they've always done for every president. You know, the numbers got to go up because the dollar over years inflation. It's just the way it works. Well, this could have impacts going forward that I don't even think anybody stopped and thought about.
Lewis, Neil has a list of agencies and people that are out of jobs. Neil, read that short list you had. This is just a partial list.
It's just a partial. I mean, you've got the federal government employees. There's about 20,000. The National Guard has furloughs.
Now, is this in the state of Louisiana, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, this is all over the country, but I mean, the national parks, your libraries, let's see, you even have the Department of Labor.
Well, let's stop there because that was a conversation we had the other day. The stock market depends on the labor reports. They're a big deal into the value of stocks. Now, if you've got a 401k or you've got a defined pension, where that market is important to you because you need it to provide those assets for your later years when you get ready to retire. We got all these people who gone through these down markets now, and they're having to work longer and a lifestyle less. So we're not going to see the September numbers from the Labor Department because they're not there to put them together. But when they get there, whatever time that is, they got to go back and do September, which is going to make October late. These are major indicators of what happens in the stock market. And this is just the unintended consequences that, you know, we got to think about. You know, that you can't go home and say, look, I'm not going to work for a month and I'm not going to pay my bills this month. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way for the American people. It doesn't work that way for the state government. You have obligations. You know, the spending cap, they're talking about whether they're going to raise it. That's to spend money that Congress appropriated. The president doesn't spend money, but Congress appropriates money. And those debts that they're talking about paying their bills, they're the bills that Congress made. I do agree with the president. I'm not going to negotiate. When your truck note comes due, you don't call the bank and say, look, I want to negotiate about if A happens, B happens, and C happens, I'll pay my truck note this month. No. You agreed to pay the truck note. All the other stuff doesn't matter. You owe for the truck, pay the note.
Well, you know, there was also a thing in the Advocate the other day about Jindal was saying the governors of the United States have taken over and they're the ones being the leaders, and he really comes down on Washington, D.C., not just the Democrats, the Republicans also, but, you know, as usual, he blames Obama for all this mess. But he wants to claim credit for things.
You're talking about Bobby Jindal?
Yeah, and you're more
about the man who said publicly, "I'm not going to accept the stimulus money," and he was right. The money that directly affected working families, like the extended unemployment money that would have provided for them until they could have went back to work, and they were out of work through no fault of their own. He didn't take, but he did take the huge part of the money. And then went around to every parish after he appropriated it through the legislature and presented it in a check that looked like he won a golf tournament and wanted to take credit for it. Who put it into higher education in a short-term fix and now can't find the money and is being most detrimental to all of our higher education and training. The technical colleges that train for the craft that we need for this upcoming work, the budget's been cut year in and year out. That's the guy you're talking about?
That's the guy I'm talking about.
The guy that's more worried about his political future than he is the people that voted to put him in office and represent the state of Louisiana? That's the guy?
Yep.
Same one.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're talking about the same guy.
But, I mean, he gave that little speech, and you know, again, he is for everything that he's tried to do in the state of Louisiana, you know, that he's ramrodded through the state legislation. And has he won anything that's got anything he can hang his hat on? Nope.
He's done everything he can that he thinks is best for Bobby.
Yeah.
You know, Louis, we appreciate you calling in. We gotta let it go. We're bumping up to the top of the hour. We're speaking with the president of the Louisiana AFL-CIO, Louis Wren. And Louis, we appreciate it. Have a good weekend. I just ate a boiled egg. Thank you.
Well, thank y'all for getting up every Saturday morning to help the people know what's going on and to keep them abreast. And I appreciate what y'all do. Have a good day.
Thanks, Louis.
And Mike.
And everybody, I hope they stay safe during this storm.
Yep.
Mike.
Bye-bye.
Ed Parker, you know, we want to apologize. I think we had a glitch in the phone system.
I don't know what happened, but Ed, I tried to call Ed. I couldn't get a hold of him. But anyway, hopefully next week we can get Ed Parker on. He's organizer with ASME in this council. And this is Baton Rouge Labor Radio. We're on WTQT 106.1. We're also on Shreveport, channel K31.2, Alexandria, channel K38.2, and you can comment on our show on Baton Rouge Local Union 198. Deal, if you work for free, You'll always have a job. Have a good weekend. Stay safe in the storm.